Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Will Thompson. I'm a United States Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia. I have several people behind me I would like to recognize before we start. I have from the Drug Enforcement Agency, I have Assistant Special Agent in Charge, J.T. Scruggs. He's actually going to be speaking as well. Also have Special Agent Nick Brumfield, who was the case agent on this, one of the case agents. I have U.S. Postal Inspector Service, Postal Inspector Brandon Holstein from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. I have the resident agent in charge, Pat Kelly. From the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office, I have the Sheriff, Mike Rutherford. From Indent, I have their Commander, Jason Webb. From the Charleston Police Department, I have Acting Chief Scott Dempsey. From the St. Albans Police Department, I have Chief Mark Gilbert. From the West Virginia Fusion Center, their Director, Jack Lucark. And from my office, AUSA Jeremy Wolf, who handled this case. What we're here today is Timothy Brian Jackson, age 44, of South Charleston, pled guilty to possession with the intent to distribute fentanyl. Jackson admitted he had created and intended to distribute fake oxycodone pills that actually contained fentanyl or other opioids. This case is a great example of the wonderful work that can be accomplished by our law enforcement partners working together. I'm going to give a brief history of the case. On August 9, 2022, law enforcement officers intercepted a package that Jackson had placed in the United States mail to send to Connecticut. Officers searched the package and found over 300 pills that appeared to be 30 milligram oxycodone pills. The DEA lab, Mid-Atlantic Laboratory, confirmed the pills contained protonitazene, which is an emergent synthetic opioid that is actually a little bit more powerful than fentanyl. On August 29th, approximately 3 weeks later, law enforcement officers executed a search warrant at a Spring Street apartment in St. Albans that was rented by Jackson. Officers found various quantities of pills that looked like legitimate 30 milligram oxycodone pills. These looked like came straight from the factory. The DEA laboratory confirmed that some of the seized pills contain fentanyl, others contain what I talked about earlier, protonitazene or butonitazene, which is another Schedule I controlled substance. It's a synthetic opioid. Officers also found various quantities of powders containing these substances, several hydraulic pill presses, various punch and die kits used to imprint the pills with M30, which is what's commonly seen on 30 milligram oxycodone pills, 2 loaded pistols, various binding powders, a pharmacy-grade powder mixing machine, and a large quantity of cash. During this search warrant, we found over 10,000 pills. Jackson admitted that he used the apartment and primarily its basement. You could call it a workshop. It's almost a high-tech lab when you actually got to see it. With all the various pieces of equipment I just talked about that was found in there, this was quite an operation that was being conducted in a basement of an apartment. He admitted that he acquired the fentanyl powder from a source outside the United States and that he obtained the pill presses and punch and die kits from China, and there was some commercially manufactured binding powder that he was able to acquire from a company in the U.S. We have read a lot in the news lately about fake fentanyl pills. There's been a lot of them produced here locally. And I think this, like I said, is a wonderful operation that we were able to take this operation down, to take these pills off the street. And not only these particular pills were recovered, but also future pills in the future that could have been manufactured in this way. At this time, I'd like to introduce J.T. Scruggs from the DEA, and I think he has a few words.
Good afternoon. As U.S. Attorney Thompson stated, my name is J.T. Scruggs. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in Charge for DEA representing the state of West Virginia. On behalf of DEA Louisville SAC, J. Todd Scott, I appreciate you all allowing me to be here today. Drug trafficking issues loom large on a day-to-day basis for law enforcement, individuals, families, and communities who are grappling with the cost and consequences of illegal and harmful drugs. As you all know, this is an urgent moment. Last year, more than 110,000 people died of drug poisonings. Today, drug poisonings are the leading cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. The synthetic drugs being trafficked are more addictive, more potent, and more dangerous than we've ever seen before. The mixing of fentanyl into other substances is calculated treachery that is being done to drive addiction and ultimately profits. Our history of lessons learned are more important than ever today. Today we are facing frightening drug threat landscape, rife with challenges and complexities as we counter the predatory criminal drug networks bringing violence and harm to our communities. This is a direct threat to the safety and health of every community in this country and to our national security. I'm especially proud of the work done by all of our law enforcement partners during this investigation. At a time when West Virginia leads the nation in drug poisoning deaths per capita, partnerships like the ones of the agencies you see standing here today are crucial. These partnerships put those on These partnerships put those who trade in illegal drugs on notice. If you sling your poison in our communities, we will be relentless in the efforts to bring you to justice. I would like to personally thank the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office, the Charleston Police Department, St. Albans Police Department, Metropolitan Drug Enforcement Network Team, or INDENT, West Virginia Fusion Center, U.S. Postal Inspection Service, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, for their dedication to this investigation. And finally, it would be careless of me if I did not commend the men and women of the St. Albans Fire Department Hazardous Materials Team for their hard work and dedication throughout the course of this investigation. Thank you for your time.
In closing, I would like to extend the same thank you Special Agent Scruggs just gave to all the various law enforcement agencies and also to St. Albans Fire Department. This is a very good result that can be shown by what happens when everyone works together. This is the exact type of criminal conduct that has resulted in untold harm and grief throughout not only this state, but throughout our nation. We can't have any more tolerance for this type of action. With that being said, do we have any questions?
You mentioned a lot of substances in these pills.
Yes.
Very long names. Are there testing strips for these substances that are legal that people can use? Is there a way that people can check their pills for these substances?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that yet. We do have fentanyl test strips. I mean, I think they've been widely circulated. These, the two drugs, I can spell them for you later if you want. I probably did a horrible job pronouncing them. They're both synthetic opioids. They're not fentanyl, but they're similar to fentanyl. One of them is, I read one thing on it where it's like 3 times more potent than fentanyl. We're starting to see it, but we're seeing it in this type of circumstances where the drugs are being combined or pressed in the pills and things of that nature. I'm not aware of any test strips out there that are readily available, but I might be wrong on that. Okay? Any other questions?
Can you just talk about how great it is to get another section of drugs off the street?
This is a very scary types of drugs we're taking off the streets, because these are the type of drugs, when you saw the actual pills, this looks like something you would pick up at your pharmacy, that people understand that has a certain level of potency, and that, you know, they're so real. I mean, this is not, how can I describe it? They're pharmaceutical grade. I mean, his lab that he was making these in was a pharmaceutical grade lab. The fact we were able to take these off the street, off the market, probably saved untold numbers of lives because of this. It's, you know, all illicit drugs are bad. But this right here, where we're faking people out with these fake pills, it's causing a lot of death and destruction throughout this country. So, yes, I felt very good about this operation, and I hope that this right here sends a message that we will aggressively prosecute these type of cases. Okay.
You mentioned the fentanyl was from out of the country. Do you know where that was from?
Typically, it comes either from China or Mexico. We know he was ordering it from out of the country. We have our suspicions, but we don't have any proof where I would want to comment that we knew exactly where it came from. But it was coming from outside the country. It was crossing our borders into here.
One last question, and you might have mentioned this, but do you know how many pills were in that package or how many you found in the apartment?
Yes. In the package, I believe, about 300 pills were found in the package that was being mailed to Connecticut. And we had over 10,000 pills found actually in the apartment. Okay?
Were these pills being distributed all over the country, or were they mainly staying in the tri-state region?
We knew they were at least going to Connecticut, and we knew there was some distribution network going on. We didn't have a ton of proof that they were coming straight into this area. It was more of going out of this area. But by and large, we didn't know where everything he had been selling in the past, where it all been delivered. But it appeared to be a national operation.
And just how dangerous is pills getting in today's world? I mean, 'cause, you talked about, it's just so great that, these pose as the real ones and then they're not.
They're incredibly dangerous. DEA is running something that J.T. Scruggs would like to speak on. We're running a program called One Pill Can Kill. Really, they're this potent. One of these pills would kill someone. It's, would cause an overdose and cause a death. That's not saying every person is going to overdose if they take one pill, but depending on the person. And even though this was what I would consider an almost pharmaceutical grade lab, he was not a pharmacist. He was not he was not a scientist. So what he made in one batch might have different potency in the next batch. But yes, the individual pills are very dangerous.
Was there something about the package that flagged that y'all should look into this, or how did that proceed?
Some things I don't want to disclose, just for future investigations down the road. But yes, there were some red flags that led us to this. Okay? Anything else?
Did you have contact with this individual before he took him? Was he known to law enforcement?
I think he had, if I remember right, almost zero criminal history. No, he was not known.
So he was under the radar.
It was very much so. Anything else? Appreciate it, Gus.